Why do you hate God?
Because he took everything away from me. Yes, I hate God. All I have for him is hate.
How can you hate someone if they don't exist?
God's Not Dead. I tell you what, it is hard to believe that it has been 10 years since this movie came out. My wife and I were going on a road trip a few weeks ago, and we had a Christian playlist on shuffle, and the song God's Not Dead by the Newsboys came on, and it flooded my mind with memories. I will never forget seeing God's Not Dead for the first time in the movie theater. At the time, I had just started going to church, so in many ways, this movie played a huge part in teaching me what Christianity is. Was it a good introduction? How has this movie aged over the past 10 years? Find out after this. God's Not Dead was released on March 21st, 2014. It has a lot of stories following several different characters, but the main story follows a college student named Josh and his philosophy professor, Professor Radisson. During the first class of the semester, Professor Radisson instructs his class to write down the words, "God is dead." But Josh refuses to do this, saying that he is a Christian and that this compromises his beliefs. Professor Radisson responds by saying if Josh cannot accept that God does not exist, then he has to defend God by proving that he actually does exist. This sets up a lot of debate scenes, and these debate scenes are really when the movie shines the most. They are by far the most memorable, the most impactful, and the most well done parts of the movie. When I watched these debate scenes for the first time in the theater, it blew my mind that God could be defended and argued for in such an academic and convincing way. It opened me up to the world of apologetics, which is the field of using logic, reason, and evidence to support and defend Christianity. I can say with absolute confidence that if it were not for apologetics, I would not be a Christian right now. I have always been a skeptic. It's just who I am. If I can't see something or touch something, I simply cannot believe in it. I just don't have that ability, unlike some people, and that's great for them, but that's just not me. Seeing the arguments for God gripped me in a way that nothing else ever has before. It made me consider the possibility that maybe there is something to this whole Christianity thing. After being introduced to Christian apologetics through God's Not Dead, I followed up by studying it more. After 2 years of doing research and having personal experiences with God through my church, I became a fully devoted Christian. If God's Not Dead never started me on that journey on apologetics and philosophy, that never would have happened. Up until then, I was just going through the motions to make my parents happy, but this journey gave me the proof and the evidence I needed to become a Christian. It wasn't an emotional decision or a faith-based decision, it was a logical decision based on evidence. So I will always credit this movie for starting me on the journey that led to me being saved. One more thing that I will say about this movie is that it has a lot of really good and really deep dialogue. My favorite non-debate scene is where Mark is talking with his mother, who has severe dementia. He told her that she is the nicest person that he knows, but he is the worst. He then sarcastically questions her on why God would let him flourish, but give her dementia. I will let her response speak for itself. Listen to this.
Sometimes the devil allows people to live a life free of trouble because he doesn't want them turning to God. Their sin is like a jail cell, except it's all nice and comfy and there doesn't seem to be any need to leave. The door's wide open. Till one day, time runs out. The cell door slams shut. And suddenly, it's too late.
one of my favorite movie quotes of all time. However, this movie is not without its flaws. It is a Christian movie after all, so some parts are very cheesy and other parts feel very unnatural, but that's pretty much a Christian movie norm at this point.
God is good.
All the time.
And all the time,
God is good.
I would say that the biggest flaw in this film is how it portrays unbelievers. At some parts, this movie has a very loud and clear holier than thou feel, especially with Mark's character. When he says that he's the worst person he knows, he's not lying. When Amy told him about her cancer diagnosis, he ends up making it all about himself and then breaks up with her and reveals that he was just using her to have some fun.
I have cancer.
This couldn't wait until tomorrow.
I mean, that's some pretty despicable stuff. But Mark isn't the only character where unbelievers are portrayed unfavorably. There are several over the course of the film.
You've made a fortune selling devices that are designed to lure waterfowl to their death.
We're doing all right.
What makes you think you have the moral right to go around maiming and killing innocent animals?
You know what I'm talking about. You went and did your argument, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
What were you trying to prove? I'm not even sure there are words to describe what I'm feeling right now. I'm sorry, Josh, but it's over between us.
If you truly feel a need to continue with this charade, I will make it my personal mission to destroy any hope of a law degree in your future. Have a nice day.
It just paints them in a very bad light. It was probably unintentional just how bad it got, but it's still there. I think that they were going for a message about how God can change people's lives and how we need God, but it got a little overly excessive in my opinion. Think about it like this. Imagine you are an unbeliever who sees this movie out of curiosity. I can see how you could come away from it thinking, is that how Christians really think about me? This movie was made to evangelize, but it vilifies the people it's evangelizing to. Now, don't get me wrong, humanity is wicked, and we cannot censor that doctrine while we evangelize because it is massively important to the gospel message. People need to know that they are unrighteous and that they are sinners, because why would they let God save them if they don't know that they need saving? We can't gloss over that, we can't sugarcoat it, but I think the movie went just a hair overboard with it. So, all in all, for a Christian movie, I think God's Not Dead is pretty good. Yes, it has some flaws, but it does so many things super well. Again, if it wasn't for this movie introducing me to apologetics, I would have never even considered giving Christianity a chance. So this movie will always have a special place in my heart because God used it to help lead me to Him. And when I finally made that decision to commit myself fully to Him, it changed my life forever. So those are my thoughts, but I want to hear yours. What do you think about God's Not Dead? Let me know in the comment section below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.